Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap, cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think, cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his mind. His mind.
So today I'm joined with Andy Gregory, one of Wigan's all-time greats. It's a real pleasure to interview you. So thank you for coming on first of all.
No problem, pal.
Now I know you need no real introduction, especially among Wigan fans, but I just want to highlight the level that you played at. You was the first player ever to win 5 Challenge Cups, first ever to win 2 Lance Todd trophies.
Yeah.
You were one of only 2 players to play 6 Ashes tours for Great Britain, along with Gary Schofield. At Wigan, you played 182 games and won 17 trophies. You averaged 1 every 11 games you played, which is a pretty good record by.
It's not a bad one at all. I didn't know that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it was. I was on the phone discussing it with Matty, who does the podcast with us, and when we went, that's a phenomenal record, really, when you put it.
It is, yeah. I don't really look back at stats or... I just remember them and the good times what we had, but before I came to Wigan, I had good times at Widnes.
Well, I wanted to start with your time before coming to Wigan. Obviously, you're a local lad, grew up in Ince.
Yeah, born in Lawrence, and I was down there yesterday where I was born at home in Banner Street. And I'm 62 now, and I was born at 13 Banner Street, and my mum still lives there, so
Yeah, well,
she's been there a while. But it's funny in my career because when I was at school, I couldn't get in Wigan Town team
yeah,
because I went to Deanery, and a lad called Chris Ratchford, who still remains a good friend. He captained Wigan schoolboys.
yeah.
He captained Lancashire schoolboys. He captained England schoolboys. Signed for Wigan, and never played a professional game.
Right.
He didn't. And when I was younger, I made a decision. Being an Ince lad, but I'm Lawrence. I didn't really want to go anywhere else apart from Wigan St Pat's. You know, in my eyes, it was the best, and it still is. You know, the best amateur club around.
Yeah.
And I went there, and I got picked for Lancashire Barla, and then I got picked for Great Britain Barla. We played France up at Castleford. Then I got picked to go to Australia with the Great Britain amateurs, but I decided then that I'd achieved enough at amateur level, and I wanted to have a go with it to professional. And that's when I went to Widnes.
So I was going to say, I actually read you trialled at Salford originally.
Yeah, I was playing for Wigan St Patrick's, and Steve Nash, who was the scrum half for Salford, he was on international duty, and Salford needed a number 7 for a Friday night's game against Barrow. So Albert White and Alex Murphy approached me. So I went training on the Tuesday, went training on the Thursday, played on the Friday. Salford had lost 9 games on the trot, and I got man of the match, and we won. So there was about 11 clubs interested in signing me, but I at the time I'd never wanted to go to Wigan because 1979 Wigan were going nowhere. And I spoke to Dougie Lawton, who was the head coach at Widnes, and I met up with Alex Murphy again and Brian Snape at Salford, but Widnes just edged it for me, and it's probably the best move at that time. It was the best move that I could have made.
Yeah. So were you close to staying with Salford, or Or
Not
did
really. No, they made me a good offer, but it wasn't about money then.
Yeah.
It was just mainly I just wanted the best deal for me and my mum and my brothers. So I went. I had a look at the witness squad. Reggie Borden, who still remains a good friend of mine, he was the scrum half. He was coming towards the end of his career. They had a great side, absolute brilliant, from Mick Burke at full back to Mick Adams at loose forward. And they learnt me a lot, you know, and they really, really put me in the right places. And then it just snowballed from there. My 18th game was my first Wembley appearance.
I was going to say, so did I read right that you had a tooth?
Yeah, I
removed
went
before you
to. I'd had toothache all week, and I just thought it'd go. Anyway, with all the nerves on the Friday night, it just got too much for me. And at 12 o'clock in the evening, I had to go knock on the physio's door. They took me to the hospital. I had the tooth out and got back to the hotel. Most of the players were fast asleep, and I was in like my witness training kit in hospital getting my tooth taken out. It didn't bother me.
I was going to say, it can't have affected you that much.
No, it
'cause
didn't.
You went on to win. You scored in the game, 18-9.
Yes, we did. We beat Ulkingston Rovers. And when I got back, I remember my younger brother, my best mate at times, my younger brother asked me what was it like at Wembley. And all I remember saying to him was, Bryn, I'm going to have to go back again because I can't remember anything about it. And I couldn't. But I never thought.
Was that more down to the nerves of the game, or the pain that you were in with?
No, it had nothing to do with the pain. It was just like walking out at Wembley and looking round, and if it wasn't for, like I mentioned, Mick Adams and whatnot, I could have just got washed away with it all. But they kept me feet on the ground, and they just said to me, if you want to walk around and look at the crowd, do it after 80 minutes when you've got a winner's medal in your hand. And that's what we did.
So that experience of being there is as overawing as they suggested.
Yeah, it is.
Especially for the first time.
Yeah, and like I said to my brother, I honestly can't remember. I'll go back again, but I didn't think I'd go back 9 times and never lose.
Yeah, because you actually went back the year after, didn't you, in 82?
82, yeah.
And you ended up losing to Hull FC, but you drew.
We made a draw at Wembley. I think it was 16 apiece or something like that.
Yeah,
and then
14 apiece.
14. And then on the Wednesday night, we had a replay at Ellen Road. And we never really got playing in that game at all. Hull FC, they deserved to win. And I've no qualms about that at all. They were the better team on the Wednesday evening.
And they were a very good team, weren't they, Andy? That whole team.
Hull FC was a great side, yeah. They had a few older players who got the young ones through. And, they was up there with likes of Widnes as a top team. Saints have always been a strong team.
But OKR, and you touched on Salford before that. For some of the younger listeners, they were the top teams at the time. When we talk about you not signing for Wigan.
Yeah, well, Wigan were going nowhere.
Correct. Hull and OKR, Widnes.
There was all the top teams, I remember playing in the... To be honest, Lee was a good side in that era. It was. So. And Warrington was. But I always knew deep down that I was going to go to Wigan. I told my family that, I told my mum, one day I will go and play for Wigan, which I did.
But that Widnes team was an outstanding team.
Well, you have a look at like your Mick Burks, your Stuart Wrights, your Keith Bentley, Eric Hughes, like Mick George and Mal Asper, and then I was at 7, Brian Lockwood at 8, Keith Elwell at 9, Brian Hogan at 10, the best, Alan Dearden at 11, Les Gawley at 12, and Mick Adams.
littered with internationals.
All
the way
internationals.
through.
Yeah. And you know, it learnt me a hell of a lot, and we had success. And most clubs I've been at, you know, we had success because we had some great players everywhere.
Now, I did a bit of research into the Widnes team that you were in, and they were nicknamed the Cup Kings. If I
Correct.
get that, and I actually looked into that. You were involved in 2 Lancs Cup finals.
Yeah.
In 81 and 83.
Yes.
They were both losses to Lee.
Yeah.
And to Barrow.
Barrow was at Central Park.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where we lost to.
The league game was at Central Park. Funny enough, I was watching it the other night. Yeah.
What was there?
Terry Billsbury scored.
Yeah.
Little kick through and scored.
Yeah.
I actually watched it the other night on Facebook.
No, I don't.
But you then lost in the John Player final to Leeds in a very close game. All of them games were really close: 3-8, 8-12, and 10-18.
Yeah.
And it took till 84 when you got back to the Challenge Cup final again with Widnes.
That was against Wigan.
That you beat Wigan 19-6.
Yeah.
Quite a dominant win by more than 2 tries.
Wigan got the Wigan should never have been in the final, but we was the best team in the country.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the Wigan semi-final. I think they played York. I think it was at Leeds. And I was just walking. I remembered I was in Blackpool. We'd already got to Wembley, and somebody said to me, "You're not watching the second semi-final?" I said, "Nah, I'm not really that bothered." And I walked past a shop in Blackpool, and the TV was on showing the game, and I just carried on walking. I weren't that bothered because Wigan or York weren't going to beat Widnes.
So going into that game, was there a feeling of we are the dominant side, and you were really confident?
We never took anything for granted. Yeah. We just prepared, and we always prepared. And then after the last training session on the Saturday, everybody patted each other on the back and said, "Right, let's get here tomorrow and let's get the job done." And that was more so at Wigan than anywhere because the competition for places was tremendous.
Yeah.
But like we'll get on to it. You mentioned it about like Warrington. They was a good side.
Yeah.
It was, and we won the John Player Trophy against Halifax. That was at Ellen Road as well, and Les Boyd got man of the match actually.
Just on that 84 final though, obviously I'm a little bit older. It was my first final.
Yeah.
That Wigan team had some good players, but there was a lot of journeymen, average players who had been part of the team that had been in the second division and whatever.
Correct.
And you're coming up against a team of internationals. I mean, I can remember being excited and think, could we do this, could we do that? But the reality was, if Widnes got their game 95% right, they were always going to walk away with the talent that they had.
Well, definitely.
So one of the internationals you mentioned was Joe Lydon, and in researching this, I actually looked into who you played most games with professionally. Joe Lydon was the standout player. You played more, I think it was 55 games more with Joe Lydon than anyone else.
Yeah.
Do you form a bit of a partnership with him?
Not really, no. We both Wigan lads. We both come from St Pat's. I'd already signed for Widnes when Joe came.
Yeah.
He asked me, "Was it like?" And I told him, "If you want to win things with a great set of lads, a good atmosphere, get to Widnes," and he did. And I think it was the Wigan game. I think he went to the field twice.
he got 2 tries in that game. And
yeah.
I think he got
the last on Joe.
Yeah. Sorry, I completely slipped my mind then.
And he was a big game player, Joe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Very good, very big. When it mattered, he did it.
He did.
Now, at the end of that season, you left Widnes and went to Warrington for a reported £75,000.
Yeah, it was. Maurice Lindsay, who was the chairman of Wigan, asked me would I be interested in signing for Wigan, and I said yeah. That was 1986, and witness told Maurice Lindsay, he said Andy Gregory's been out the game now a while, and if you speak to him, which I know you have been, tell him he can go to anywhere, but you're not going to Wigan.
Right. So when you were at Widnes, they said you could go anywhere.
Anywhere, but you're
bar
not going
Wigan.
to bar Wigan.
Was that because Morris had come and spoke to you?
It was because they basically didn't want me to go and play for my hometown club.
Right.
So on the eve of the Challenge Cup deadline, I'd been out the game something like 5 months, and Maurice Lindsay said, Andy, you've been out the game long enough and they're going to keep you out longer. We've made the best offer we can do. If I was you, if you've got any other clubs interested, go and join them, but we will definitely sign you at some stage.
Right. So you were aware that Wigan were going to come back in for you.
Yeah.
Later on. So you went to Warrington for £75,000, which is a hell of a lot of money, and still is today. But that would have been an awful lot more 30 years ago.
Correct.
And at Warrington, you actually won the '86 Premiership.
We did. We beat Halifax. To be honest, the fans knew that going to Warrington was not my choice.
Yeah.
I had no option. And I got Player of the Year twice.
Yeah.
And still got booed by some of them. Because they knew the first opportunity I had to get away from...
So they knew you wanted to be at Wigan?
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a waiting game more than anything?
It was. I did 2 years. I didn't let anybody down. But when I had the opportunity, I just said to Warrington, fair enough. And they said, if you want to go on the track, put it in writing. I just went into the bar at the club, got a beer mat. I said, do go. Put me on the list, Andy Gregg. They said, you're on at something like 100,000, I don't know. He for me. Anyway, I told Morris I'd put in my transfer, and he said, well, I'll stick to our word, and we'll come in and buy you.
Well, just before we get on to you moving to Wigan, you did play in another final against Wigan, the Lance Cup final in '86. Wigan win that 34-8.
I got sent off.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. You were sent off for a stamp.
On Nick the Toit.
Obviously, Wigan win that game. Could you see that the Wigan side were developing, and that was a bit of a...
Yeah. The Wigan had got rid of a lot of the average players. They had a new mentality about them, and they were signing players, world-class players.
Yeah.
Instead of has-beens, basically. And when the opportunity came along, I had no hesitation at all to join Wigan Rugby League.
Well, so after that '86 season, you joined Wigan for a reportedly world record fee at the time of £130,000. And obviously went on to have a massive success. But we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about
No problem.
your career at Wigan. So Andy, you joined Wigan, and it took you 10 games to probably play in one of the most memorable games at Wigan, playing in the World Club Challenge, Wigan vs Manly.
Yeah, it was on a Wednesday evening, and I know Wigan and I know Standish, and we met at Kelly Court, and we came out to Kelly Court for an 8 o'clock kick-off. I think we came out about 5 o'clock to get down to the Central Park, and we got towards the roundabout where the Bull's Head is, and there was it must have been 5:15, and the kick-off weren't till 8 o'clock, and I was looking, and there was fans from Barrow, and Wigan, and Leeds, and Hull and Hull KR, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? And then we went down Wigan Lane and there was fans everywhere. It's like 2 hours before the kick-off. And then when we got to the Cherry Gardens, we were going down, and outside the Cherry Gardens there was thousands of fans, and I thought, what's going on here? And I went down, and we got towards Central Park, but we couldn't turn in because of the volume of people. And we managed to get into the Central Park, and we had a meeting upstairs behind the sticks, all the team and the coaches and everybody, and I thought, something special this, so I just pulled the curtain across and had a look, and it must have been about 6:30 for an 8 o'clock kickoff, and the ground was packed.
So even before the game, like, it was only 4 or 5 hours before that you started realising how big this game was.
Yeah, I didn't realise until basically, you know, when I looked out and the ground was full, like an hour and a half before.
But the fans of other clubs as well.
There was from everywhere, you know, clubs just. But it was the first ever World Club Challenge game, and it's one, even though there wasn't a try scored, it'll go down as one of, you know, Wigan's greatest games, and it was. Like, I think it was 8-2 the score.
Yeah, 8-2 without a try.
Just on the crowd though, what you have to remember, Tom, is that in them days, the culture of buying tickets before a game didn't exist. People turned up and paid the £5 or whatever.
I wouldn't like to. I wouldn't like to guess what the attendance was that night.
No, forget 37,000.
You wouldn't get away with
10,000 on top of it. It was ridiculous.
You wouldn't get away with health and safety now.
No.
You would definitely not get away with that.
Well, I can tell you, Andy, I walked it from school that day, straight from school at 3:15 in Hindley, walked it to the game. We went on at 4:30, 4:45, sat down behind the sticks for about half an hour reading the programme, and then stood up at about 5:30 and couldn't move.
That's it. That's
You
right.
could not move.
No,
it was like
it
nothing I've
was-
ever known.
I've never seen anything like it. Then I went down into the changing rooms and I thought, something special this. Anyway, we went out to warm up, and the noise and the atmosphere was. I'd never seen it at Central Park ever like
I was
that.
going to say, was it similar to that first Challenge Cup experience of, I've never experienced
I
this
remember my first Challenge Cup with Widnes, and there was 98,000 people on the pit, you know, watching. 98,000 fans from everywhere, like, but Kingston Rovers was red and white and Widnes was black and white, so you could tell where the Widnes fans was. And out of 98,000 people, all I can remember when I'm walking around after the game with my medal was, I just remember seeing my mum and my younger brother, and it just stuck out, and it reminded me like that at that night at Central Park. And when you look at it, there were times which, you know, you don't want to change it, but there were, you know, you had to be there. He was there to watch it, and like I say, it wasn't the best of games, but it'll always stick in people's mind.
Yeah.
There were some great moments in the game. I think early on, Manly had a few breaks, and we ended up just managing to keep them out and whatever. But Wigan definitely grew into the game, and probably that little bit of urgy-burgy that went on, because there was a lot of toughness in the game. I remember Brian Case having a pop with one of their forwards.
It sums it up. Who got man at match?
Yeah, it was his type of game.
Sean Wayne.
So,
He did.
is there any moments that stand out for you coming towards the end of that game where you're 8-2 up and you know you're going to win it? Was there a moment where you go, this is massive?
All the way through it, really. But like when the final hooter went, whistle went, whatever, like just to see, you know, the fans just running onto the field, and I just thought, because I'd won quite a lot up to then, but this was something special, and I thought this is a moment which I'd already had good moments in the game, but this was up there with the best of them at the time.
The backdrop to that, you have to remember, is 3 or 4 whitewash tours in. Certainly, I don't know about 80, but certainly it must have been in 80, 82, 84, 86. They were whitewash tours. So England had Australia on this pedestal, you know, them great invincible teams and whatever. So in some ways, you kind of thought that how on earth can we beat an Australian team? But this was the beginning of a real good Wigan team that went on to dominate.
Yeah. So, as I said, at Wigan, after that, you played 182 games, you won 2 World Club Challenges, 5 Challenge Cups, 4 Championships, 2 Regal Trophies, 2 Lancs Cups, a John Player and a Premiership. And I know I can't sit and go through every single game in that because we'd be here for an awfully long time. But obviously, you were involved in 5 Challenge Cup wins for Wigan.
Yeah, just going back to that World Club Challenge, I think the second one was at Anfield,
yes, against Penrith.
And all the because I was living in Widnes then with my first wife, and there was all because I was an avid Man United fan and still am, and I went to most of the games, and it was all in the pub in Widnes, and there was because I don't know what happened, but Ellery was injured, and I was captain.
Yeah,
and they all said, when you're coming out the changing rooms at Anfield, they all used to say, "This is Anfield and touch it." And then half of them said, "He'll touch it." And half of them said, "You've not a cat and else chance, he won't touch it." Anyway, the next day, I walked in the pub and, "Hey Andy, you won me a pint. Do you want one?" I said, "Yeah, I'll have one." So why did I win you a pint? Because I said you won't touch. This is Anfield. "Yeah, you're miserable. Everybody touches it." And I just said, "Look, I'm 5'4" and I couldn't reach it. I could have. I just said I'm 5'4", but I don't want to. I don't want to touch. This is Anfield.
So,
But going back to Wembley's, 1988 is special because my mum and my family and my brothers and everybody's in the stand, and at the time, I think that was my 4th Wembley appearance.
Yeah, it was your 4th Wembley, and ended up being your third win.
Yeah, and I remember with a few minutes to go, we really hammered Halifax that year.
It could have been a lot bigger. We had a few goal kicking problems, didn't we?
Well, it ended up 32-12, so it's a convincing win.
But we was better than 32, to be honest. But being in a red and white shirt with number 7 on your back, Wigan, and then it comes over with a few minutes to go, and it says, and today's Lance Todd Trophy winner, man of the match, is Wigan's number 7. And I'm thinking, can't get much better than this. Winning at Wembley with your own town club and getting Lance Todd Trophy. And in a final, that'll always stick in my mind.
Yeah.
Always.
We have discussed that before about the legacy of that Wigan number 7 and the pressure that it puts on players now in the modern game, because it is so recognised and it's linked to you very closely as Wigan's number 7.
Yeah.
But there have been many great number 7s post you, and
correct. And
it's probably one of the hardest shirts to wear now.
I've just did an interview before, just over the phone for Wigan Today or something and whatnot, and he was on about Harry Smith being nominated for Golden Boot, whatever, and like I say, I don't watch that many games, but from what I can gather, people who go season to go, they said gradually, game by game, he's getting better.
He's growing into it. I think the thing, Andy, is we all know that the Golden Boot now is not the same as what the Golden Boot used to be.
No, I agree.
And the Golden Boot now, where they pick 3 or 4 international performances at the end of the year and then compare players.
I went to 2.
Doesn't talk to you about the whole season and whatever.
Like I went to 2 of them test matches because a customer wanted to go, and I've never been as bored in all my life. Like, in all 3 tests, Tonga was woeful.
They were awful. You can only beat what's in front of you.
Correct.
But I think going back to the number 7 shirt, Harry's growing into it. He's only a young lad,
23.
He's 23 now.
Yeah.
You know, he's had a few struggles when he first came in, which might stand him in good stead as time goes on. He's a different. I'll tell you now, Tom. I know you'll have watched it, but he's a completely different type of player to Andy. But that number 7 shirt, you know, Sean Edwards took it off. You know, took over from you with that. Then we had Tony Smith, decent half, a bit more of a running half.
Yeah.
Adrian Lamb, who I think was probably the best since yourself, Andy. But the key bit here really is everybody who puts a number 7 shirt on at Wigan, they're only going to be compared to one player, and that's Andy Gregg.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And obviously, hearing that you won the Lance Todd with Wigan's number 7, obviously you go up and collect your award. What was that moment like for you, going collecting
It was
Lance?
tremendous, you know. Like, you couldn't, you know, write it, you know, playing for your own town club and winning in such convincing style and getting a winner's medal in that hand and the man of the match in that hand, and a big cup in front of you, and it don't get much better, to tell you the truth.
Feeling like on top of the world.
Yeah, it was just as though everything. That year in '88 was the year when I went to Wembley, got Lance Todd Trophy, and then I went on tour with Great Britain, and that's when I made a break and put Mike Gregory through, and Mike went under the sticks, and we went on to beat Australia. So they don't come much.
So good year, that, innit?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the year after, obviously, no one expects to get to Wembley, and that's the aim in every season, to get to every trophy that you're involved in. But to think that you get there back to back, and ultimately to go on 5 times in a row is a phenomenal achievement. But in '89, you get there against Saints, 27-0. You scored a try and a drop goal yourself.
I did, yeah. We, to be honest, I remember the build-up to it, and if you need motivating to play for Wigan against St Helens, then you shouldn't be playing the game. You know, to me, it's the ultimate derby. You can have Hull FC against Hull KR, but Wigan and Saints is a rival. They just...
And everyone
in a
watching
nice
it,
banter, the fans hate each other. The players hate each other, but after the game you'll go. But on that day it was 27-0, and we would have beat anybody 27-0 that day. We was just all week. We just trained from Monday. We had the last game on the Sunday. On the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like we as a squad, even on training, if somebody knocked on or threw a forward pass, everybody be, what's going on? Let's get it right. And we would have beat anybody on that day, I'll tell you.
So there was that aim for almost perfection of...
Correct, yeah. Anybody made a mistake or an error.
Because the pressure was on, it was Saints in that Challenge Cup final.
But in that team,
As
it was all professional players and it was led by Ellery, who's like the ultimate professional, and everybody, you know, it rubbed off on everybody.
So, as a Wigan lad beating Saints in a Challenge Cup final, is it right to say that might be your favourite?
Well, yeah, but if I'm playing 5s and 3s against somebody from St Helens, I won't win.
I like that, yeah.
I do, but you don't need, like I said before, you don't need motivating to play against St Helens. And like when I do the dinner speaking or thingy and say which was your best Wembley out the 9, and I say, well, beating Australia, that was, you know, special, but being a Wigan lad, winning Lance Todd Trophy when we beat St Helens 29-0, and you always get one plastic scouser who says he was only 27, and I say, oh, I'm sorry I got our score wrong, but I get yours right, 0. shut up, I've never liked you. And
So actually talking about that nil, was there a moment in the game where you all like sort of realised it's
we
nil?
just said, do not forget our score. Don't let them score.
So as a team, it was 1-0.
All of us together and just nil them.
That's perfection, isn't it?
Well, we was in a way we was all professional players. Like we used to go out on a Thursday night, like myself and Steve Hampson, Joe Ladd, and a few more of us. We used to go and have a pint in Mabs Cross on Wigan Lane, and the likes of Ellery and all them. They never drank or anything like that, so they went their way, we went our way. But when we got to training, no matter what happened, everybody was, let's get it done, let's get in, get it done, and let's get out. And that's how it was, and it was hard, like trying to maintain, because in that era, every team wanted to beat us.
Yeah.
And we were so determined that they're not going to beat us. So, like, we put ourselves against every other team, but against ourselves as well. And we used to have meetings after training. We'd play on the Sunday, and then on the Monday, we'd have like a light training session. Then we'd go in and talk about the game. And everybody, Graham Lowe did it, John Mooney did it, and everybody had, and Paul, will start with you at full back. What do you think? Well, he missed 3 tackles. I'm full back, I had to clean them up and this, that, and the other. We can't go missing tackles. And what was said in that room, if anybody would have mentioned it out of that room, they would have been sold. He said, whatever we do in this room and say, stays in here. And you could, if you didn't think he was pulling his weight, you'd tell him.
Can I ask you something, Andy? I'm glad you mentioned that, and it's not something that I've ever had a big conversation about. But I heard a whisper through the grapevine that at one point Sean was having trouble tackling, Sean Edwards.
It was.
And he, I believe, he went in front of the whole team and said, I'm struggling here, and I'm struggling to get my technique, I'm struggling with my confidence. And the whole squad said, listen, we'll cover for you, we'll work with you.
Everybody did. I remember him speaking.
Yeah, and what I'm saying about that is it shows that this wasn't a perfect team, but they worked at everything. They were so professional and
all you had
leave any stone unturned to win.
All you had to do was, if you was in the 13 starting, right, you're lucky because you have a look who's on the bench, and then you have a look then at who's sat in the stand. And like, to keep him, John Mooney was brilliant at it, to keep like 20 internationals happy.
Ready to take someone's place.
Yeah. If somebody had a bad game, then you'd be looking at weeks on the sideline.
So in that room, it's sort of like a level of accountability that you all have to do your job, but if you've had a bad game, you're picking each other up on where you think you're struggling and
True,
trying to achieve perfection.
But, like, we'd go out on a Saturday morning doing our ball work, and we normally did like 30 minutes, 40 minutes ball work, and sometimes we just got it off, bang bang, clicked, everything went, and they'd say, right, got a shower, I'll see you tomorrow at 1:30.
Yeah.
And that was it, gone. But everybody knew that's what we wanted. And like I said, if somebody dropped a ball in training, like, you get the biggest bollocking ever.
Yeah.
And they just said, come on, like 100%, you know, and we was all, I remember, I'm not sure, we was all test players. And we used to say, I used to call it, and in a game I'd just say, right, come on, test match pace. And we'd all click into playing. If you was D-Bell playing for NZ, if you was such a body playing for Australia, you know, if you're English, you're playing for England and Great Britain.
Yeah.
And we all just picked it up, and to be honest, it was pleasurable because fans used to come and watch us train. But it was hard training, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Because, to be honest, when morale's high, because you're winning everything, that's what you're a professional player for. You want to win.
Yeah.
And when you're training and you can have a laugh in training, even though you're still putting the hard work in, but it's pleasurable when you see people's smiles on their face instead of doom and gloom. But luckily, I weren't in teams that lost that many games, and that's only through like
So a bit of
good
that,
players.
I was going to say a bit of that. Once you start winning and you keep winning, then
You get used to. You just get used to like winning, paying 2 points, and that's what you want. You know, you just want.
So a quick question for you, Andy. You talk about like, you get used to winning and winning. Obviously, it's very obvious that by 87, 88, 89, Wigan have probably got the cream of the top players.
True.
1990. But I always talk about that change in 86, 87. Just before your time, you walked in just as Graham Lowe had come to Wigan.
Correct.
And then obviously you experienced John Morney a couple of years later.
Yep.
I know they were kind of different characters, but how much do you think they had a part to play in the whole thing?
To be honest, I think they had a massive part.
Could anybody have coached Wigan, or what did they bring?
All they brought, like, basically, with that team John Morney took over, I say it in people thinking, but Stevie Wonder could have coached that, because they had me and Edwards at 7 and 6, organising everything. We had the forwards doing the job. We used to call the forwards pigs. And that means get us out the shade, get us out of our 22, then we can let the ball go and whatnot. And that's what everybody knew the job.
You kind of felt from outside that John Morney was a little bit more of a man manager, and he could manage the whole situation. Everybody seemed to love him and stay on side with him.
What John Morney did, and Lowe did to a thing, yeah, but John Morney, and it's hard to do to keep 21 internationals happy week in, week, even though 5 of them are sat in the stand watching. They've trained hard all week. They're good international players, but you only can pick 17. You know, and like what's unique about, which we've already spoke about, but we've not mentioned it, what's unique about that Wigan team, what won the World Club Challenge?
All English.
There was one foreigner in there.
He never brought him off bench, did he?
Graham West was on the bench. So everybody else,
with 15
all the way
players back
through,
then, he used one substitute. And I can't remember, was it Richard Russell who was a substitute?
Richard was on bench.
Yeah, but he never used Graham West, and I think there was something in that he wanted that English.
It was all English.
But Graham Lowe, to me, again from the outside, seemed to be a bit more. He played on emotions, played on inspirational things, and could get teams up for big games and whatever.
He
but he didn't rub. I think he rubbed a few people up the wrong way at times.
Well, he did. You know, I had an argument with him and whatnot. You know, but Graham Lowe wanted the difference, I think, and I get on well with them both. I've not spoke to any of them for a while, but Graham Lowe wanted it for Graham Lowe. John Morney was a team person.
He was the quiet guy.
Very, very quiet, knew what he wanted to do, knew the players he wanted, and like I said before, some of the training sessions just went bang, 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 all over the field. Right, go and get a shower, see you tomorrow. And that's how it was. And they were just good happy times.
So, going back onto the Challenge Cups, obviously 90, you get to your third with Wigan, you win against Warrington 36-14.
Yeah.
And this was your second Lance Todd trophy.
True.
Did it feel as good as getting the first?
Yeah, just as good. Like, to get it again in a Wigan shirt at Wembley doesn't get at club rugby. You don't get much better than that. You know, obviously when you're beating Australia, but that's at international level.
Yeah.
we kept like our lads just kept the feet on the ground. One thing we wouldn't have any big heads in the squad.
Yeah.
And a few tried it and they soon got fired off. So, but everybody had a job to do, and that included, you know, the committee members with Maurice Lindsay and Jack Robinson. Like, the fans was absolutely tremendous to us, and you know, the coaching staff was. But if you can't enjoy it week in, week out, like even down to the kit man, you know, Taffy and Keith Mills, you know, everybody just had permanently Mandy and Murray in the office, but everybody had a smile on their face because week in, week out, you were winning, and that's why I took part in sport.
Yeah.
You know,
It's always
I
better
hated
to play when
losing.
you win, isn't it?
Of course
It's
it
always
is.
better.
Yeah. And people used to say, you know, there was some teams who shouldn't have been in the top tier. And people would be saying, how many today, Andy? 70, 80. And all I wanted to do was just get 2 points and winning pay. That's it.
So, the year after, 91, a bit of a closer result at Wembley, but beating Saints again
18-6, was it?
at 13-8.
13-8.
Can I just interrupt there, Tom? It would be very remiss of somebody who's a bit older not to point out that the background to that final was Mission Impossible. And it's very, very hard to explain to people the difference between today's game, where you play one game a week,
Yeah.
players are tired and whatever, and then understanding that even by the old style of play, where you could play 50 or 60 matches in a year, what happened in the 4 weeks before that final was something that no club will ever go through ever again. No club ever went through it, and to come out and win the league title when they played something like 9 games in 17 days.
We ended up playing like Sunday,
Tuesday,
Thursday, Saturday.
And that was because of rearranged
That was
games.
because we got into so many semi-finals and finals.
because if you got into a semi-final, final will be a full league fixture, but your game would back up, and you have to remember that year, you'd made the John Player final, you'd made the Lancashire Cup final. I think actually there was a game earlier on in the season where somebody forgot to switch the underground heating on, and they had to play that game again at the back end of
That
the year.
was tough.
But absolutely genuinely speaking, they won a Challenge Cup semi-final on the Saturday, and then went to Warrington on like the Monday, played somebody else on the Thursday, then played the following Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday,
And
and then Saturday they brought the last game a day forward for TV.
Yeah,
So-
that was
so-
on TV.
Yeah.
And that was, we'd already finished the game. What we won on Thursday, that gave us the league title.
No, I'll pull you up, Andy. You drew against Bradford, and what it meant, it was in your own hands. You still had to win.
Did we not play Leeds?
You played Leeds at Leeds, yeah.
Yeah, I remember it.
But I think the point being is like, so 10 days before you played in a Challenge Cup final, you're in the midst of going for a league title and playing I can't remember, it was 8 or 9 games in 17 days.
It was 9 games.
Yeah, and there was people, you read John Morney's book, you read other books, no training, nothing in between, just rest, turn up, play, rest,
That was
turn
it.
up, play.
Well,
and every game, there was 20, 25, 30,000 on for that winning game.
Well, I was just want to say
on
that,
Tuesday night.
as a younger lad, that feels really weird to me, because like
You see Wigan on a Sunday, then you see them the following Sunday.
When we got to the
then
Challenge
you
Cup
see them
final,
the following Sunday.
when we got to the Challenge Cup final last year, the week before, I'm talking about resting players, and like they've got 7 days rest, so it would have been 2 weeks of not playing. Where there, you're playing
Well,
2 months worth of city games.
again, how true this is, but I got told, well, number one, Ellery shouldn't have played at Wembley, that 91, but that day, the only player not to have a painkilling injection and play was Dennis Bennett, and he was playing something like his 81st game in a row consecutive. And he was the only one who didn't have a painkilling injection. Wigan were busted that day in '91.
I know. I'm not sure what year it was, but I'd trained all week, and John Morney said to me on the Saturday morning, this is the week before Wembley, and he said to me, Andy, we've already won the league, so I'm not playing you tomorrow. I said, I'm fit. And that's how much people wanted to play. They didn't want to miss games.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm fit. Yeah, but like we've won the league, so have a rest. I said, I don't want to rest. I've trained hard all week. I want to play. And he said, well, nah, I'm not playing you. I said, oh, well, if you're not playing me tomorrow, you won't be playing me next Saturday at Wembley. So I just got my kit bag and got in my car. Maurice Lindsay's walking it. He said, Andy, is everything all right? I said, no. Have you got a problem? I said, I haven't. He has. Why? I said, well, he don't want me to play tomorrow. He said, yeah, we spoke about this. We won't rest you for. I said, Maurice, I'm fit. If I'm fit to play, I want to play. So if I'm not playing tomorrow, I'm getting in my car now, going back to Widnes, and I won't be coming back next Saturday either at Wembley. You can't do it. I said, I can. If I don't play tomorrow, I'm not going to Wembley.
So that was sort of like the mentality around it.
Yeah, nobody wanted miss.
I will pick you up on that though, Andy. There's a half-back partner that you played with, I'm led to believe never played the week before Wembley. Sean.
I don't know, mate.
Yeah. So he had a wry smile on his face when he told the tale, but Sean never played in the week before.
No, I didn't know that.
It was always a Premiership weekend, so it was always like the first round of the Premiership and things like that. But he told a slightly different tale, talking about he'd been resting, but he said, well, they've had a play, they've got winning money. So they ended up coming to an agreement that he got like 3/4 of the winning money for not playing. He said it was the easiest money he'd ever done. And that's a different cultural thing.
Of course
well,
it is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Winning money and not playing and not getting that, in them days, that was your money. It wasn't your fixed contracts.
So I do want to just quickly talk about it before we finish on this section. Your last Challenge Cup for Wigan, 92.
Was it Castleford?
It was Castleford 28-12. That would be your 7th Challenge Cup final win, the 9th that you went to.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal record by anyone's book, but to do it over 2 clubs as well. Obviously the lads who played in the 8 in a row got 8 with Wigan, but you pick up 2 at Widnes and then carry on success at another club.
And you had that Great Britain.
And the Great Britain success.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, it makes me laugh. And I feel for my mum rather than me. When we go anywhere, like I took my mum, it was on Saturday, it was my mum and our Bryn went to Salford, where my dad played at Salford, I played at Salford, I coached Salford. And people always ask me about Wembley, and they say, Andy, how come you're not on that statue? And I just says, oh, I don't know, I can't pick it, so... Yeah, but Andy, 9 Wembleys, never losing. And like 2 Lance Todd trophies. I said, well, I don't pick who goes on it. But it doesn't bother me, but I know it hurts my mum.
Yeah, your mum's been like a driving force for your career, hasn't she? I can remember being a young lad and seeing her outside at Black Diamond. Not that she'd been in the Black Diamond, which she was just walking past.
But she lived opposite.
Her family was talking to your family, your mum, and she was just like, her Andy this and her Andy that, and Wigan, and she was obsessed with rugby, wasn't she?
Yeah, she didn't miss many games at all. But that's sticks in my mind, but if you're not picked for it, you can't.
No, and
like there's people on that statue who can't come anywhere near my record at Wembley. But anyway.
So before we wrap up the Wigan section and we go on to talk about your coaching career, I just want to ask you one question. Obviously you won 2 World Club challenges. You won the Manly 8-2 and the
Penrith.
Penrith game. The Penrith game, you were captain.
Yeah.
How was that slightly different? Did it feel different winning it as captain?
Not really, no, because I was the main playmaker. I called all the moves, even though Ellery was captain. Ellery'd lead from the front with his attitude and his like motivation and this, that, and the other. But all the moves in that era was called by me. So if I wanted Andy Platt and Kelvin Skerritt hit the ball that way, that's what I told them.
Yeah.
You know, Pigs, hit it 2 to the right, then we'll get a good line and we'll get it wide. And we'll get to Edwards, to Gene Miles, who'll put it round Dean Bell, who'll pick Martin F5 up and under it sticks he goes. And that's how it was.
So it didn't feel like there was any more pressure being Wigan's captain for that game?
No, because it never changed my game because we didn't change anything. Because Ellery never called a move on the field at all, and I called everything. And against Anfield, nothing changed.
Yeah.
You know, it's as though Ellery was on the field, but I'm still doing.
So it didn't change your job or your role or anything like that?
I think you have to understand, Tom, at that stage, like 91, beginning of the 91-92 season, Wigan had become a winning machine. You know, if you got Wigan, the best chance you had of beating Wigan was in an earlier round. They might have just switched off, but actually, when you got to them big games, nobody beat Wigan in big games.
Well, nobody was going to beat us in the early rounds because we took every single game. And we'd get one game out the way, and then on the Monday, we'd all meet up and we'd talk about yesterday's game. Then when we had the meeting on the Monday after training, nobody mentioned it then. Just look forward to next week. That's all we did. Well, right, pal.
We'll take a quick break there and then we'll come back and just talk about
No worries.
your international career.
Up with lad.
So Andy, obviously we're going to talk about your your Australian career, but I want to mention your international career first of all. Obviously, we said before you were one of only 2 players to play 6 Ashes series for GB, along with Gary Schofield. Obviously, Australia were rather dominant overall in that time period of international rugby.
It was by far the best international team I've ever seen.
Maybe ever seen. But you had 26 caps, but your probably standout moment was in the 88 Ashes series. The third game you picked up man of the match.
Yeah, we trained hard all week. We had players pulling out left, right and centre. The press had virtually written us off. The fans had, but we trained hard all week. Full credit to Malcolm Reilly. He was the head coach and he kept everything going. And when we got to the Sydney Cricket Ground, and we just went in, just said, just give it you're playing for your country in Australia against Australia. They don't get much better than that. I said, let's just put a bit of pride in the shirt.
Well, that 26-12 win, would that be one of your proudest moments? Because I think it was
international-wise, yeah, definitely. To beat, like I mentioned before, to beat Australia at anything is because they're like rugby league fanatics.
Yeah.
In Sydney, where I spent a bit of time over there, it's the number 1 sport.
Yeah.
And some of the players what's come through the ranks there, they're absolutely world-class players in every department.
Yeah. So, one player who talked about how highly he rated you was Wally Lewis. And he was actually quoted as saying, when he was asked about which English player caused him the most problems, he said a certain little halfback. He called you a little bastard and admired you a lot for your creativity and your determination to cause defeat for Australia. one of the greats of all time in Wally, but
Yeah, but he's a legend over there, and you know, you don't get called the king
yeah,
for basically for nothing. You know, you've got to earn it. And as I played against some great standoffs, but Wally Lewis has got to be the best one I ever played against.
I think that says a lot, doesn't it? That
Yeah,
he was so good. And we were talking about your time in Australia. You actually played for Illawarra.
the Illawarra Steelers. Yeah, I had a great few months over there, and it was it was funny because it was called the Panasonic Cup, which is electrical gear and whatnot. And we was at the time with about 3 minutes to go. It came over the tannoy, and tonight's Panasonic man of the match is Illawarra Steelers number 7 Andy Gregory, and we were still winning. Then in the last minute, Wally Lewis made a break, and he passed the ball to G Miles, who went under the sticks. The goal kicker kicked the goal, and we lost with 2 points. To be honest, I don't think after that try, I don't think we kicked off. I think the Utah went.
It was right on the hoover.
Yeah, and but I didn't know what to do because I won something like £50,000 worth of Panasonic electrical gear, and they said to me, "Where are you going?" I said, "Well, I can't take it home. Can you imagine going to Manchester Airport? Have you anything to declare?" Yeah, washing machine, thingy, and this.
Yeah, you're not
and
going to get that through customs, are you?
No, so I ended up giving them to charities over in Wollongong, where Illawarra Steelers is.
Yeah.
And one day I keep saying I'm gonna go back, and I will do one day.
So let's move on to your time after Wigan. Obviously, you left Wigan and you went to Leeds.
I went to Leeds, and I was there 2 years, and I think in the 2 years, I don't know what it was, because I travelled up, there was me, I lived in Winnis, there was me, Alan Tate, Mike O'Neill, and then we'd get to Butch service station, we'd pick Andy Goodway up and Sean Wayne, we'd all travel up and travel back, but I just didn't play well in 2 years. I think I had one good game, and that was it. So Dougie Lawton was my coach, and I just said, I had a brew with him. I said, Dougie, I'm not being funny, mate, but I'm just not enjoying it. And I know the fans are thinking, which I can understand, but I'm just not enjoying me playing rugby. So I either find a club nearer to home, or I'll pack in. And he said, well, see what you can do about. So Dougie was a good friend of mine and still is, and he contacted Albert White at Salford. They rang me up and said, do you fancy coming to the Willows for the last 2-3 years?
Yeah.
So I went to Salford and I enjoyed it.
Well,
I did.
You went to Salford, and Salford paid £10,000 for you. And when I looked through it, you were actually bought across your career for a grand total of £230,000, which is a phenomenal amount of money.
Yeah.
To be signed for in 4 deals. But in your time at Salford, obviously, in your first season, you avoided relegation, finished 13th out of 14th.
Correct.
And you started taking over as player coach first of all.
I did.
And then move on to full-time coach.
Yeah.
We stayed till 1999. But in 95, you avoided relegation by 6 points, but was excluded from the top division for the year after.
Yes, we
because
was.
Salford didn't merge with Oldham.
Correct.
How was that? Obviously, you were taking over as coach. Then how did you deal with that as a group of players?
Well, all when they said you're not going up, all they said, I said to the players, and I went in to see the committee. The chairman was John Wilkinson, who's a top bloke. The board was brilliant towards me, and they said, Andy, I know there's other clubs going to be interested in you because we're not going up into the top tier. He said, what we're going to do? I said, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I've had a word with the players and nobody wants to leave. They all want to... He said, well, what we're going to do? I said, well, we'll win it again next year. Then they'll have to put us up.
Because in your first season you won Division 2, but you weren't promoted.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the season after you win it again.
Yeah.
Did you know that you were definitely going to go up if you won it that year?
No, I didn't trust the rugby league with anything. But I just said to him, look, I'm determined to stay here. I'm doing my job as head coach. Your players, if you want to go, there's the door, go. But I want a squad who can go and win this league next year.
A bit of like keep banging on the door, and they'll
Yeah.
have to let us in at
Yeah.
some point, because you then get promotion into 97 for the 97 season. You finish mid-table.
I think we finished 5th.
Yeah, which is a brilliant result. But also in the 96 season, as Salford coach, you put an end to Wigan's Challenge Cup run.
We did, and in life you'll have to word this how you want, but it's not far from the penthouse to the shithouse, because everybody in Wigan loved me for the Wembleys and the memories and this, that and the other. I'm a Wigan lad, and when I knocked Wigan, but all week we trained so hard for it, and I said to the chairman, John Wilkinson, I said, we'll do these today. And he looked at me and thought, I don't think so, but he never said anything.
Well, it was ending a 42 match unbeaten run in the
Yeah.
Challenge Cup. You had two ex-Wiganers in there, in your side that day, Steve Hampson and Sam Panapa. Was there a rumour that you were going to play yourself?
No, there was a rumour that I was going to play, but I had a good number 7 in Merkley who organised everything. He did everything what I were doing, and he took all control of the game and everything. And I thought, well, he's got his ears, so he can carry on. But I'll always remember, all the build-up and whatnot, and then after from being right at the top, the worst draw for us would have been St Helens.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting St Helens at Central Park, and they were just a different class to us. They was the best team in the league by far, and to be honest, we were well and truly beaten. But the year after, we got to the semi-final again, and I think I spoke about this the other day at the Salford's 150th anniversary. When we lost to Sheffield at Ellen Road, at Headingley, that just really put me, because we was basically robbed. And what I wanted to do, because when I was coaching at Salford, I got picked to pick 11 players to play in the World Nines in Australia. But they made a rule where I could only pick one player from each club.
Oh, right, okay.
So I wanted to take the likes of Favell, and I wanted to take 4 players from Wigan.
Yeah.
Said, oh no, you can't do that. Oh no, you can. So I said, really, you put me head coach of a team, what I don't really want to be taking. And they said, well, that's how it is, Andy, and whatnot. So well, there's no other nation doing that. Yeah, but it looks like we're favouring teams. And I said, it's not, you pick your best 9. Yeah. Anyway, we went over to Australia. We did okay. We got through. I think we got through to the semi-final, which we should never have got there. And then I had that disappointment at Headingley when we were blatantly robbed in the semi-final. And then after that, I never got my desire back for the game, and I just basically called it a day. I had a few issues off the field, and I just weren't enjoying it.
Yeah.
So
because you left the season after that Challenge Cup semi-final.
Yeah, I did.
By mutual consent.
I was basically my heart weren't in it, and that semi-final. Because to be honest, John Wilkins, when I got picked as the Great Britain World Nines manager, said, "Is there anything you want?" I said, "Yeah, I want a team manager." team manager? Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. I said, have you got anybody in mind? I said, yeah, my chairman at Salford, John Wilkinson. And he said, okay, Andy, that's no problem. So I phoned the chairman up, went to see him. I said, Chairman, have you ever been to Australia? He goes, no, never really. I said, well, you going? I'm going. He said, when? So I didn't know what dates it was. I just said, I've just been picked as the head coach for the World Nines in Australia. And you're coming as my team manager. Get lost. Said, oh, you are? I've asked for it and they've given me the go-ahead. So he came with me, and then when we lost that semi-final, because I'd been to Wembley 9 times, and when we lost in that semi-final, because all I wanted to do was John Wilkinson, who was a really proud chairman, and I'd seen like Morris walking out at Wembley, leading Wigan out, and I'd seen like other chairmen walking out and leading them out for witness and leading Great Britain out and whatnot. And I really wanted John Wilkinson to lead Salford out. And when that happened, I just fell out of the game. And to be honest, I couldn't wait to call it a day.
Yeah, that was sort of like
That
your time.
broke the straw what broke my back, basically. So I don't regret anything what I did. You can always look back, but I don't look back. I'm proud of what I achieved. I met some good lads. I very rarely see anybody now, especially at Wigan, who I used to play with. I don't go to any, like they have past players reunions and whatnot. I don't go to them, and I don't go to many games, to tell you the truth. But it's not because I've fell out with the game in any way. It's just how things are. So
Andy, very recently, probably 12 months or so ago, the Rugby League had a Hall of Fame evening. I just glanced over my shoulder there and I can see the trophy for your Hall of Fame. How much did that mean to you?
it's what you are. What you know, like when you're coming through. Like I mentioned, school, I didn't get picked. I got picked for Wigan St Pats and Lancashire Barler and Great Britain Barler. Then you want to go and make it as a professional. And Widnes was the best club I went for. And you achieved to win a league, go to Wembley, do this and that. And then when you start winning and you want to progress, I wanted to play international rugby. And then you're thinking like, bang, I got put into, when I'd finished, I got put into Wigan's Hall of Fame. And then a few years after that, I got put into, because they rang me up, the Rugby League, John Ledger his name is, and he said, Andy, how many teams did you play in? I said, do you mean Pats and like Barler and St Pats? Yeah. So I went through Widnes, Warrington, Wigan, Leeds, Salford, Rest of World Nines. No, you've missed one out. I haven't missed one out. He said, you have? I said, I haven't missed one out. He said, Hall of Fame. I said, what? He said, Great Britain Hall of Fame. I said, I'm not in Great Britain Hall of Fame. He said, you are? We're having a presentation next week. You're going in the Hall of Fame. And it was a massive honour. You know, that's just sums everything up, and
Yeah,
I was so proud. And I've got pictures. Well, my mum has pictures of like Wembleys and like trophies I've won, getting the Lanston trophy, and like my mum and my brother have been on. When I got Wigan's Hall of Fame, I took my mum and my brother. When I got in Great Britain's Hall of Fame, I took my mum and my brother. When I got well, 11 years on the trot, I got voted the best scrum half in the country.
Yeah.
And then in '88, when I got voted the best scrum half in the world, you know, they're honours which are not just, you know, for me. I know it was me, but like my granddad helped me when I was younger, because my dad didn't really do anything for us. But I don't go on about my dad. But no, it was.
I think from a fan's perspective, and obviously as a Wigan fan of 50 years, I'm biased. But what I can tell you, and obviously now we're into a more digital age and social media age, you've got different platforms like Twitter and Facebook, etc. One thing I can tell you from what I see, whenever your name is mentioned, and you know, I don't go back to Alex Murphy, but certainly from those people who watched the game, late 70s, 80s, 90s, which were an halcyon age for English rugby league. I know we didn't beat Australia, but we've come as close as we've ever done.
Correct.
Nobody ever argues from any club that Andy Gregory was the best number 7 that there's been in this country. There's nobody ever argues. You ask fans of Leeds. I know you said you didn't perform at your best at Leeds.
Them Leeds fans was absolutely tremendous.
Yeah.
And I mentioned Warrington.
Yeah.
And like, I got Player of the Year twice.
Yeah. There's no debate about it. And at the end of it, and your career had finished, and a number of years went by, to be recognised and put into the Hall of Fame with Alex Murphy, with Billy Boston, and people.
Well, that's it. You know, I think I'm not sure how many's in it, but nearly everything what I won, I put down to like my mum and my granddad, how I was brought up and whatnot. But I'm proud of what I achieved. I never look back. You know, I can go and like I listen to people like Gary Schofield, who like when you see
he likes telling you a few things, doesn't he?
yeah, but like when I go to dinners and they'll say Andy Gregory, like now Wembley's 20 odd Great Britain Cup, 2 Lance-Todd trophies, this 6 Ashes series. I said, and I don't particularly like Gary Schofield, to be honest, because one thing I don't like is how he slags fellow pros off, and that's how he's made a living, you know. And I'll say, Schofield, have you got your CV? Oh, shut up, you have to start. Don't, yeah, but you played in good teams. I said, no, you chose to go to the clubs like I chose to go to clubs. I said, what's your CV again, Gary? Oh yeah, that's it. You won a Yorkshire Cup winners medal. And when you were 12, you got a Boys Brigade badge. You've won nothing.
Well, that might obviously we're getting close to wrapping it up, and I just thought I'd go through your CV one last time before we do.
Yeah, no worries.
7-time Challenge Cup winner, 26 caps for Great Britain, Rugby League Hall of Fame, Wigan's Rugby League Hall of Fame, 2 Lance-Todd trophies. In 1988, the best scrum half in the world, 2-time World Club Challenge winner, 4 Regal trophies, 6 Lancashire Cups, and 6 Premiership final winners.
Didn't do bad, did I?
No, it's an alright CV that to have.
And it's an absolute honour to talk to you.
Yeah.
No, it's not a problem, pal. I've never changed. I never will. Will we, lad? No, because he's going for a walk now, wouldn't you? We're going out. We're going out.
And it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks a lot, pal. You've got my number.
Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap, 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think, 'cause he's a northern